Hello everybody, jimmyispromo here, back again with another awesome video, and today we will be testing the Zagg InvisibleShield Tempered Glass for the Samsung Galaxy Note 8. Now the Zagg InvisibleShield is one of the #1 selling screen protections that you'd be able to get on the market. Usually it's because it has the limited lifetime warranty, which will last as long as you have your device, and it will help you if you ever have this thing get worn or damaged, and so then they will be able to replace it, and then the information will be not only inside the box but also on their website. And the other reason is because this one is probably one of the more readily available screen protections you'd be able to get in almost every single store that the Galaxy Note 8 is sold in. Now, I do remember with the Galaxy S8 and the S8 Plus, this one did not hold on as tightly. It kind of popped off with a few different cases that I've had, and they don't really last as long. But I did find out from one of the sales reps of Zagg InvisibleShield mentioning that the reason why was because the mold was a little off by like 0.1 millimeter or 1 millimeter for the Galaxy S8 and the S8 Plus, and that's why it did not adhere perfectly. So here we are back again to test it with the Galaxy Note 8, and we'll see if it got improved. And so if you're familiar with my channel, the way that I test the tempered glass screen protectors is going to be #1, the installation. How easy is it to install? Also, #2 will be the touch sensitivity. So how well is it to react with a finger touch? We also go in with the case friendliness. And so I have 4 different cases that I will be testing it with. And this one right here is spec. This is the one that usually fits a little bit tighter along the edges. And so we'll talk a little bit more about the cases. And then we'll also do a scratch test. So as most people know, usually when you try to scratch a tempered glass with a knife or something that is metal, normally it does not scratch. But I'm showing this as a reference point, showing you some of the easily, to find items in your house that you might think would scratch your device. But here is where we get all the answers. So this is the Mohs hardness kit. This is a way I'd be able to test it with different hardnesses, going all the way from a #2 tip all the way up to the #9. Now let's look at the contents on the inside. So on the inside, this is your limited lifetime warranty information, so you'll be able to get your replacements. You also have your dust removal for any type of dust that's sitting on the screen. Here's your wipe that you'd be able to wipe the screen off, get anything off the screen. So then this right here, the tempered glass, would be able to fit perfectly onto the screen without anything touching between the screen and then your phone. And you also have your microfiber wipe to remove anything that is excess. And then this right here is the InvisibleShield guard that you'd be able to align onto the cell phone that you'd be able to place in the tempered glass. And I do want to mention right at the get-go that these big little blocks up here are going to be the ones that goes onto the top of the phone, because on the very bottom of this guard it says InvisibleShield, and you want to make sure that it is upright so they wouldn't put their name upside down. Now the first thing to do is to clean it with the little wet wipe that it comes with it. And I do want to mention too that you want to make sure that you are properly putting this onto your phone. You want to properly prepare your device. You also want to properly put this thing on. You want to properly press it down with all the different type of pressure that you have, because some people will have different results versus other folks. But when it does come down to properly putting it on, when you do this, you will get the same result as I do. Now you'll use your microfiber wipe to get all the excess water or moisture off of the screen. This is the dust removal. Now you'll place on your shield. Now the most important part of it was to take this microfiber wipe and pinch it up in the middle, take it all the way out to the edges, so then it's going all along the edges, but mostly the tops and also the bottoms, as that is where all the adhesive is. So a lot of people ask, where is the adhesive? On the Zagg InvisibleShield, it will be on the top as well as the bottom. But when you go from the middle out, you're pushing out all that air that could be sitting underneath the screen. And so I push this for a good minute to make sure everything is there, so then I don't have to take this screen protector off. Now, I do like the application part of this. The tray did not get in the way at all of placing this on, but what I did notice is that there was a little bit of a rainbow effect, kind of a little bit in the middle. But the good thing about this tempered glass is that usually these will push out as you use them, and as a couple hours go by, that little rainbow effect, if you were to have that, will be disappeared. So now we're going to touch sensitivity and see if this has any type of impact with our finger and also the S Pen. So first off, we went into the diagnostic test of Samsung, which is star pound 0 star pound in the dialing pad, if you guys would like to test that out. And the only way that you'd be able to get out of this little test is if you were to touch all these different squares. And so what I'm doing is I'm lightly touching the screen. I'm not pressing hard at all. I'm basically just laying the finger across the screen, seeing how well it does. And so there's a couple different areas that I'm missing the squares, but that's okay. everything is actually doing a pretty good touch as of right now. So usually the concern would be on the tops, the bottoms, and the edges, and they actually came in pretty good. Now let's actually get out of this and we'll head over into the Samsung Notes and let's test and make sure that this S Pen is able to be used everywhere. So with the S Pen that came from the device, I'm not going to use my Staedtler S Pen for this one. We're just going to go over into the normal pen. So what I'm going to do is just pretty much draw everywhere and anywhere on the screen that I'm able to. And I'm noticing that it's doing a good job. So I'm not pressing any harder or any lighter. So this is doing a good job. Now with the pen though, I can only go up this high, and that's only because this is where I'm able to, kind of draw into. So what we will do is we're going to head over, come out. So right, so far the S Pen is doing a great job, but let's pull down the notifications panel. So up here, this is also where some of the issues could come into play. Also the bottom for the Samsung Pay and such. So I'm able to activate that one. I'm also able to pull down the notifications panel. So that's doing a great job. Now on the top of the device with the finger, I do want to mention that I'm trying to pull it down just ever so lightly. And so it's not doing it every single time, especially on the top where it's supposed to. It is interacting with me down here at this point in the screen. So it's doing a great job where I'm trying to barely touch it. But on the very top, when I'm trying to pull the notifications panel, it is not doing it. So this one is not as touch sensitive as the base screen protector that I tested from before in an earlier video, but this one is doing a great job still. All you have to do though, if you like the Zagg products, just make sure you press just a little bit harder on the top of the phone, then it will interact with you, but it's not as the most sensitive case in the world. So I will give this one a 4 out of 5, not being the perfect 5 because the notifications panel on the very top, it does not come down every single time I do it with the lightest touch. Now turning the phone off and looking at some of the smudges that was left over, this one actually does a pretty good job of keeping it smudge proof. So if smudging and not having all that little oily portions, from your fingertips going onto the screen, this one does a pretty good job for the oleophobic coating, which is helping out with these smudges. So this one does get a pretty good 5 out of 5 because sometimes you should at least get a little something on a screen, and this one is pretty minimal. Now this portion of the test is going to be the case sensitivity or the case friendliness. And so this was where earlier on it would kind of fail a little bit with the S8 and S8 Plus because it was popped off by a few different cases. As of right now, this thing has been sitting on the phone for about 15 minutes. And so what we're going to see and test out is seeing how well it did, so I'd be able to put some cases on it. So first off, let's go over to the Samsung Galaxy Note 8. This is the rugged case that came from Samsung. And so we'll see and make sure if this one was to pop out or not. Now the Samsung rugged case, this one is pretty good along the edges and holding on to the tops and the bottom. So this one will definitely be friendly with almost any type of a screen protector you get. And you can see here on the very bottom, that screen protector is not going to the extreme bottom of the device because usually your case is able to protect that small area. So that is why this screen protector up here is going to be pretty good with case friendly. Now let's look at the very top. You can see up there on the very top as well that it's not going all the way up to the very top. There is just a little bit of a space inside of there that it is not reaching the very top. So again, your cases will normally protect that small area, but looks like Zagg InvisibleShield wanted to come out and make sure that they were case friendly. So let's head over to the next one. This is the one that is from Tech21. This is their clear case. And this one is one that I actually do love using all the time. So we're going to pop it in there. It hugs it just a little bit tighter than the Samsung case. So let's move it over to the edge and let's see how it looks. So as you can see here too, this case is pretty far away from the bottom as well as the top of the device. Now also along the edges, it does have a small curve when it does come down to the screen protector, but it's not going all the way down to make it to interfere with the different cases. Now we'll move over to the OtterBox Symmetry case really fast. Now the OtterBox Symmetry case did a very good job. Now this one is probably the most minimalistic out of all the different cases I have. I don't know why. I'd almost think that this one right here would have a little bit more, phone protection along the edges, which is why it didn't score so high in my case video when I did do a test between the 5 different cases. You can see here that this case is actually more lower than almost any of the other cases. But along the tops and the bottoms, they are risen, but that will protect your phone, just not as much as the other cases. So now when you compare this case with this screen protector, you can see how this case is the most furthest away from that screen protector that is on the Galaxy Note 8. So this one might not be the best route to take, which is OtterBox Symmetry, along with the Zagg InvisibleShield, because there's a lot of space surrounding this phone on the tops, bottoms, and the edges that, is leaving the phone vulnerable. And now for the very last case is going to be spec. Spec is usually the one that hugs the phones the most. So we will see if this one has any type of issues. So you can see here, pushing it in is a little bit harder. But I do not see it pushing up on the edges. Let's actually look around the sides and we'll see if it's kind of touching. So this case right here, the spec, is the one, if you're looking for something that is protecting the phone probably almost the most. Along the edges, the spec case on the edges is the most rised or risen edges of any case that I've put on the Galaxy Note 8 so far. And then also on the very edges, the top and the bottom, they are also risen. And so then this way you're gonna get a good protection when you were to put the phone down on its face. So this one surprised me right here. I'm super glad that the Zagg InvisibleShield was able to be stuck onto the screen and not get pushed out by spec. So if you're looking for something that is going to protect your phone probably to the fullest, as of right now of what I've tested, it's probably going to be this Zagg InvisibleShield if you're using this one, along with the spec. And this is called a Presidio case that you'd be able to use for the Galaxy Note 8. Now, what I've learned really fast with all these different cases is that this Zagg InvisibleShield was definitely thought of to be case friendly. Now we're moving over into the fun section, which is scratching. So what we're going to do is we're going to first pull out this huge knife. So this was a ceramic knife, trying to get different edges that will be going onto this device over here. And so I will mention right now that with me putting as much pressure as I'm trying to, you can see here right there how it's kind of moving around a little bit. You can see that I'm putting a lot of pressure onto this tempered glass. Now I do want to mention this will never ever scratch anything that is a 9H hardness, or at least if they say it on the case or the packaging. And then also this razor blade too will also not scratch it. But these are everyday items inside your house. You can also try to compare these to, let's say, maybe, you know, if you have change in your pocket, if you have anything that's in your pocket that is sharp, you know, anything in general that you think that you might think could scratch this. I'm also going left and right. So I'm going left and right. I'm also going up and down, and I'm not getting any type of a scratch. So it's doing a great job so far, but now we're going to go over into where we can actually get this thing to scratch, which is with my Mohs hardness kit. So you can see as I was to put it along the light here that there's going to be no scratches on the display. The only thing you can see there is a little bit of that rainbow effect, which, as I mentioned from before, is just a little bit of moisture underneath the screen, which will actually go away within probably the next 24 hours. So don't be alarmed if you see that right away. It will actually push out. Now, what I have in front of me here is going to be 4 different tip edges, and these will definitely scratch the screen. So what I first want to do is show you guys how this is to interact with a Samsung Galaxy S7. So over here, this is Corning Gorilla Glass 4. I do have other different scratches that I've done from before, so I won't do it over here or down over in these edges, but I will do it right over here on the very top where there is not any other scratches. So here is side number 4, and so this one will definitely not get into the Corning Gorilla Glass 4. Now what we'll also do is we're going to move over into the number 5 edge. We'll put it right next to that. And I'm putting all these at the exact same angle as well. So the tip number 5 is also not scratching the device. So I'll raise it up, I'll bring it up close to where the little light touches where the black part is. And you can see that there's no scratches. Now we'll move over into edge number 6. And this is where it usually will scratch the screen. So you can see here that I'm getting a little bit of a scratch that you see up there on the very top right hand side. And then now we'll move over into number 7. So this is just setting up the starting point of where phones usually scratch. So now what we'll do, you can see the scratch number 6 and number 7. So this is again Corning Gorilla Glass 4. Now let's move over to the Zagg InvisibleShield. So move back over into slice number 4. And let's actually see if we can get in there and get a little bit of a scratch going. So I'm not getting anything vertically. I'm also not getting anything horizontally. Let's move over into edge number 5. Again, gonna go vertically. And then we'll also go horizontally. And so I'm pushing it pretty hard. You can see here the reflection of my little overhead rig that I've got going on here. You can see that I'm putting in a lot of pressure to actually move that little reflection. So now we're going to move back right over here to edge number 6. So again, this one did scratch the Galaxy S7. And it looks like we're getting a little bit of a scratch here. We're also going to go horizontally. And the thing about horizontally is that it's not scratching. But when you do go vertically, you see that scratch there with number 6. So when you go vertically up and down, north, south, it's going to scratch it. But when you go east, west, it is not scratching it, which is pretty interesting. And let's move over here to number 7. You can see here too, you get a pretty big cut. And let's put this one also going left and right. So east-west, it does a great job of not scratching. North, going north and south, it's definitely going to scratch your phone. So you can see those big scratches. And you know what, just for fun, for kicks and giggles, let's move it up a notch. We'll go up to number 8. Ooh. Ooh. I'm not even going to go any more than that. That is just brutal right there with the edge number 8. So what does scratching it with the Mohs hardness kit tells me is that the tempered glass over the last 2 years has not gotten any stronger whatsoever. But here's the important part of it. All these different scratches you see here on this little tempered glass is not going to happen, you know, because it is now on here, but it will not happen onto your Galaxy Note 8. That is the reason why you would want to make sure that you go out there and you purchase a tempered glass. Now, one thing I do want to mention was that taking off this screen protector was super easy with the fingernail. And the previous screen protector I tested, which was called Base, I'm not sponsored by them. I'm not doing anything for them. I just happen to like their product, and you want to make sure you properly put everything on yourself. But I had to take off that screen protection with my razor blade. I was not able to take it off with any of my fingertips or fingernails whatsoever. They had a different type of adhesive or more adhesive area on the screen that adhered to the phone much harder. So that's the only thing that I would mention for Zagg InvisibleShield, is to add a little bit more surface area of this black spots on the top and bottom to add more adhesive, or maybe put it along the edges. So that right there was the test and review for the Zagg InvisibleShield Tempered Glass. So when it does come down over into the installing, this one definitely gets a 5 out of 5. When it comes down over into the touch friendliness, I'm going to give them a 4.5 out of 5 because I was able to press a little bit harder along the top to pull down the notifications panel. But anything below that, it was definitely touch friendly, but I wanted to pull down the notifications panel all the time. And also too, with the case friendliness, this thing definitely passed with flying colors. So a 5 out of 5 for case friendliness. And you can definitely tell because this one did not go to the very top, bottom, or the edges. And then for the scratching, this is just like any other tempered glass out there that you guys purchase. They all scratch at the exact same points. And then also when it does come off of the phone though, it was super easy. So they can definitely add more adhesive. And then the smudge, so the oleophobic layer, the smudges on this one did a great job. So I'll also give this one a 5 out of 5 for smudges. So I hope you guys have liked this video. Make sure you guys give it a huge thumbs up. Also, if you want to see more videos like this, then make sure you guys go below the video, click on subscribe, or you can go right over here, click that red circle. You can also subscribe that way, and I'll see you guys later.